Hey YouTube, OreGear here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the Kel Tec PF9. PF9 is a subcompact 9mm pistol from Kel Tec USA, and just so you know, it has been safety checked. As you can see, nothing in the chamber, no magazine, and neither of the magazines I'm going to be sticking in it have any ammunition in them. So the PF9 I picked up about maybe 2 years ago. Picked it up primarily for use as a concealed carry handgun. Prior to that, the smallest handgun that I had was a Glock 19, which at the time I felt was a little bit too big for carry every single day, so I wanted something a little bit smaller. Heard some mixed things about the PF9, but knowing that it was backed by people like Nut and Fancy, figured that I should probably give it a try myself. So it's going to be giving you my viewpoints. I know that there's plenty of other resources out there, so this is just my 2 cents. But I like it a lot just because of its extremely small size. To be specific, the actual length of the firearm is just over 5.8 inches. The barrel itself is just over 3 inches, and the actual height of it is about 4.3 inches. Now, just for reference, I'm going to bring in a Glock 26, which again has also been safety checked, nothing in the chamber, the magazine is empty. I'm bringing this in just because I know a lot of people are familiar with the Glocks, so I feel like it's going to be a really good way to compare the two. As you can see, the actual length of them is fairly similar. The Glock 26 is just a wee bit longer, but the biggest difference is in the width, being that the Kel Tec is a single stack and the Glock 26 is a double stack. You're going to get a lot slimmer profile from the PF9, so that is definitely one of the biggest pros if you're really caring about printing or people kind of being able to see it through your clothing. But again, you know, the Glock 26 carries 10 rounds being a double stack, whereas the PF9 only carries 7+1 with a standard factory magazine. Now, when I picked it up, it came with only one magazine, and again, it's 7 rounds, and it came with both the flat plate, as you see here, and the extended finger rest, as you can see on this. When I'm carrying this, I typically prefer the flat magazine butt plate just because it's going to print a lot less, and honestly, having the ability to wrap my pinky around the bottom of it doesn't make a huge difference in my ability to shoot it. So for me, it's just a little bit easier to use the flat plate. Now, to show you what all it comes with, you can see here the box that it comes in. One thing I like about it is the fact that you can actually lock it, but it comes with a trigger lock. As I said, if it comes with the flat plate installed, it has a little finger extension as well, has an instruction manual, and everything just kind of fits in here nicely. I can very easily fit the firearm and an extra magazine off to the side. So I definitely like the case that it comes with. Now, for me, as far as the accuracy goes, I've had a lot of issues with this handgun. Because it's a 9mm and because it's so small and being very lightweight, I think Kel Tec advertises it to be just under 13 ounces, I think 12.7 ounces. It's definitely has the capability to be a little bit snappy, and because the bore axis is so high, when you have a grip on it, it definitely wants to push the recoil over the top of your hand. Just again, for demonstration with the Glock 26, you can see how the actual top of the handgun, when I have a full grip, the slide just barely has the clearance to make it over your hand, which forces a lot of the recoil into your arm, which makes it a lot easier to control. So that mixed with the, in my opinion, terrible trigger, makes it extremely hard to shoot. Now, to go into the trigger, Kel Tec advertises that it has about a 5-pound trigger pull. Mine feels, again, I don't have a trigger scale, so I can't say for sure, but just so you know, pointing it in the safe direction, pulling the trigger, it has a long take up, and then you hit a wall about here. This is fairly predictable where this wall is, but you anticipate if you hit the wall just a little bit more and it's going to break off the shot. But you still have to press rather far past that point before it'll actually go off. So, and for those of you who care about trigger reset, when you let go, you can hear it click right about there. So if you're used to any other striker-fired handgun like a Glock or Smith & Wesson, you think, okay, you can pull the trigger again, but it won't go anywhere. You have to release all the way back out before you pull again. And again, very hard to predict where it's actually going to break. So for me, the trigger mixed with the kind of snappiness of it made it very difficult for me to shoot, as I'm going to demonstrate to you right now. Definitely kind of embarrassing how poorly I did with this one of the last times I took it out to the range. So for reference, this is a target that was set 7 yards away. You can see here with the shooting Wolf steel case ammunition. First round dead center, and then couldn't really keep it tight after that. Over here with PMC, couldn't really keep a tight group at all. And again, you can see from down here that my body was starting to really flinch, anticipating the shot. Even more so in the center target here. You can see him dropping all the way down here, and then even the furthest one well down there. Then as you can see down here, kept a somewhat tight group, but again, had some flyers down low from the flinching. Then over here, back to the PMC, it kept a somewhat tight group, but I think honestly those were intermingled with the flyers way out to the side. So really not a very desirable job, especially as close as 7 meters or 7 yards. But I mean, even then, the actually holding onto the pistol isn't terrible. As you can see, it has the built-in texturing from Kel Tec, which for me works just fine. I can still get a very good grip on it, and then easily get kind of both hands wrapped around it. And even though this is a rather kind of subdued magazine release, I can still very easily get to it without breaking my firing grip. But it's also small enough that I don't accidentally actuate it when fully gripping the pistol. So ergonomics are not terrible, but I really don't like how high the bore axis is over your actual hand. Overall, it's fairly simple to operate. I mean, like I said, you don't have to worry about any external safeties on either side. Really, the only safety is the trigger pull. Where it kind of gets complicated is just kind of field stripping it, taking it down, which I'm not going to really talk about, go too in depth in this video, but there's a lot of videos around YouTube as far as how to actually accomplish that. So to go on to kind of the accessories for it, one of the things that make this a little bit easier is the fact that it has a built-in rail up here. This allows you to attach things such as lights, lasers, really anything that you can think of to put down here. But keep in mind, even with a TLR3, which is I think one of the smaller Streamlight pistol lights, it's still going to stick out probably to about here if I were to put it on here, just because this is such a compact pistol, which is one pro over the Glock 26, which has no accessory rail. But as far as like factory accessories, I know that they make the 8-round magazine. I think they even make a 10-round magazine, which in my opinion would probably only be for range use, just because it would make it it would completely defeat the purpose of having a small pistol for concealment and having something that sticks well down here, sticking out of your pocket or out of a holster. And then as far as holsters go, I've had really no issue finding holster availability for them, whether it be from Galco or any other holster manufacturer. It'll fit in most standard pocket holsters that I've used. I've even had Kydex holsters that were made specifically for this model, just so it fits in nice and secure. Now, the pistol itself, one of the things that attracted me to it is just the price point. When I paid for it, I paid just over $300, I think, for it, plus sales tax, because at the time I was in North Carolina. And I know now, I searched on Bud's Gun Shop today, and for reference, this is as of August 2014. I saw that they had them in stock for about $250 shipped, so a very reasonably priced handgun. Now, where a lot of people don't really like this pistol is just with the fact that it's a Kel Tec product in general. Now, I know that Kel Tec has a kind of spotty track record, especially in the past, and it can kind of be a crapshoot as to whether you get a good example of a firearm from Kel Tec or a bad one. This one just happens to be really very reliable for me. So far I'm at about the 500 round point, maybe just a little bit past that, and in all my shooting I've only ever had one malfunction, and that was with some Wolf steel cased ammunition. But I put another approximately 100 rounds of the steel-cased ammunition through it without any malfunctions after that. So I've had good luck with it, but to put into context, that's under ideal shooting conditions at an indoor range with no foreign material being able to get into there, whether be dust, dirt, sand, what have you. And then also I've always kept my firearms very well lubricated. I use frog lube, and it always seems to work well in all my other firearms. So again, just one malfunction, about 500 rounds, which to me isn't terrible. And then as far as the actual carry ammunition I typically use the Hornady Critical Duty, but not the Plus P, and I put a couple magazines through the PF9 just to ensure that it's going to cycle properly with that ammunition, and I had zero issues with it. So I know if I am faced with a situation where I have to use this in self-defense, I can definitely rely on it to actually fire what I'm putting through it, which is definitely what you need if you're actually going to be carrying a concealed handgun. So again, it can be kind of spotty whether or not you get a good example of a firearm. I've known other people in the past and talked to people who work in gun stores around me that have had the same exact model pistol but had zero success with it as far as reliability goes. But I know Kel Tec has fairly good customer service, so if you send in whatever firearm it is, I know that they will fix it and send it back to you without too many issues. So all in all, a good handgun, especially for the price, again being less than $300 at this point. Now, if I were to do it all over again, honestly, I'd probably go for something like the Smith & Wesson M&P Shields. They're almost exactly the same size, about the same ammo capacity, also a 9mm, but I know for a fact that they have much more predictable trigger pulls and almost impeccable reliability. And one nice thing is they're also made in the United States, if that matters to you. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you found this somewhat informative. So please let me know what you think. If you have any experience with Kel Tec products yourself, feel free to comment below. And especially if you've had any issues with Kel Tec products, please feel free to let everyone else know what your experience was. So again, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.